Hi, my name is Alayna DeFalco from DeFalco News. Today we're going to be talking about what does a flood factor really mean? I have so many clients that look online on Realtor.com and Zillow and they see this flood factor. What does flood factor really mean? Well, we actually have FEMA and we have flood factor. So there are two different risk assessments, two separate risk assessments. FEMA is strictly for insurance purposes and builder code. So when you're looking at FEMA's flood zones, there's actually 18 different flood zones. I don't know if anybody knew that, but it's worth checking out. I'm actually going to put a link down below if you would like to read into all flood zones. As agents, we primarily focus on the 3 flood zones. So you have low risk, moderate risk, and high risk. So this is what determines if the mortgage company is going to require you to have flood insurance. Now, us as agents, we always recommend flood insurance, but it's not required sometimes if you're in that low risk category. Now, you could be in a low risk category according to FEMA and not need that flood insurance. However, you look down below now on our national websites like Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin, and you see this flood factor. Flood factor might be a 5 out of 10, and you're like, well, wait a minute. I want flood factor to be 1 out of 10. What actually is the flood factor? So I will also include a link to explain a little bit further about what flood factor is, but it is actually an algorithm. And there's about 80 experts that have been put together across the nation, and they assess risk based on elevation, proximity to the water, and also any climate change. So those risks are based on a 30-year mortgage life. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of you could be in an X zone, a minimum no flood zone according to FEMA, but maybe a 5 out of 10 on a flood factor, which may deter some people from buying a house because of that number. But what does that number really mean? So I'll give you an example. If there is 8% of a risk that you will get 16 inches of water one time in 30 years, your flood factor will be a 5 out of 10. Now I'm going to say that again. 8% risk of having 16 inches of water at least one time in 30 years, your flood factor will be a 5 out of 10. So I know personally clients that just cross a house off the list. You could be in an X zone and FEMA require no flood insurance, but a 5 out of 10 on the flood factor. So don't always cross that house out just because of the flood factor. Really look into how they assess those numbers. And again, please look at the links down below if you want to research that further. So I hope I cleared up a little bit what those flood factor numbers mean, and I look forward to next time. Thank you.